For those people that haven't listened or didn't listen to our previous conversation on Fair Comment, could you please tell us about the documentary you are producing at the moment?
Okay, so this documentary, The Dog Meat Professionals in South Korea, is a culmination of about 18 months undercover investigative work in South Korea. We've used a range of footage and a range of techniques, from undercover footage to direct interviews with farmers to interviewing Dr. Dogmeat to a policy advisor from the government who is in charge of research for livestock, to accompanying activists into politicians' offices and, getting exposure for their story on a limited level locally, going into dog meat restaurants and discussing the trade with them and getting to understand the reality from their perspective, as well as going and documenting the Gesoju making process, which is making dog tonic from a whole dog and squeezing all the juice out of the dog and putting it into a little sachet that a lot of people, especially the elderly and females from the countryside, believe will give them energy and restore their vitality after giving birth to children, or if they're getting old and they need to recover or reinstill their health in some way, then they will consume this Gesoju. So we basically documented that process as well, because a lot of South Koreans, especially the younger South Koreans, aren't very aware of the Gesoju making process, and some even didn't know that Gesoju was made from dogs.
Okay, James. When you said squeezing the dogs, it's just my stomach felt very ill. So what interesting things did you see in Korea about dogs over there?
Well, the interesting part wasn't about the dogs. The interesting part was about the people. Now, when I first started this project, it was all about the dogs and getting exposure about the dog meat trade. What ended up happening was me realizing that there was a political stalemate. The animal activists wanted the dog meat trade banned, and that was obvious. But something that wasn't obvious was that the dog meat traders are feeling the pressure from international activists and local activists about the dog meat trade. And what I didn't understand or realize at the time when I started the documentary was that the dog meat traders themselves want some sort of closure on this matter as well. They want the government to say, hey, this trade is either legal or this trade is illegal. And unfortunately, we're in a political stalemate right now in South Korea, where the government doesn't want the trade to be legal. They don't want to be the first country in the world to legalize dog meat and therefore face the international backlash and the trade repercussions that could perhaps result in legalizing dog meat. But they also don't want to be the first country to ban dog meat. Now, as of yesterday, actually 2 days ago, Taiwan has banned the dog meat trade. So there are some activists saying, well, this is a great thing, and this may then have a spill-off effect into South Korea. But after speaking directly to the Chief of Research for Parliament in South Korea, who's in charge of the livestock research, he basically said that the dog meat trade in South Korea will never become legal, but at the same time they don't want to make it illegal either. So that political stalemate continues today, and as a result we've got activists fighting with dog meat traders, and there's no solution. And unfortunately, without a solution, the public are going to keep complaining about the dog meat trade, and those members of the public that eat dog meat are going to continue to eat dog meat. The dog meat farmers are going to continue to raise dogs, and this $1 billion per year industry will continue.
Okay. Well, that sounds very interesting, because on one side it will not be legal, but on the other side it's not going to be illegal as well. So it's going to be in the gray area, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And because it's in a legal grey area, there's a lot of mistruths being spread. International activists who don't work in South Korea, and some who actually have worked in South Korea, are just completely misinformed. They say that the dog meat trade is illegal, which just simply isn't true. It's not legal, it's not illegal. There are some regulations, and they're minimal, but those regulations are not enforced and they're not well known. Even if they were aware of those regulations, getting the police to enforce those regulations is very, very difficult. You basically need to hand them a closed case so that they can just walk in and act upon that information rather than actually investigate, because the police won't investigate animal abuse towards dogs, because more than likely when it goes to court, it's going to get thrown out, because there really are very few precedents about prosecuting someone who has killed dogs for dog meat, which basically isn't illegal. The only thing that the police can enforce is Article 7 and 8 of the Animal Welfare Act, which basically states that you can't hang a dog by the neck and you can't kill a dog in front of other dogs in a cruel manner. So we have direct footage of these laws being violated over and over again. Activists from CARE in South Korea have used this footage with politicians, they've taken it to the police, but nothing gets done. Very few people are even prosecuted. And when they are prosecuted, it's a very small fine. For example, Dasom, who have now been renamed CCSOGAON, just to make it difficult in English, they took the footage and evidence to police of a fellow hanging a dog by the neck and stated that this was the usual killing method for dogs in this particular slaughterhouse, and the judge issued a $1,000 fine, or 1 million won fine, which is equal to $1,000 fine. A $1,000 fine for a large dog farmer that might sell between 1,000 and 2,000 dogs a year. A $1,000 fine is nothing.
Okay, James. When are you screening it?
Well, so far we've submitted to Cannes Film Festival, and we'll hear about whether it was accepted to that in about a week's time. We've submitted to another 15 or so film festivals, but we've done very different cuts. We've done a few cuts. One of the cuts is a smartphone cut. For the smartphone cuts, we've used a lot of footage that we captured undercover using smartphones, and consequently those cuts are a lot shorter, they're a lot more violent, and those have been submitted to maybe a dozen different film festivals. Now we're hoping that will be screened in South Korea as well as in Australia. We've submitted to the Melbourne Film Festival, the Melbourne International Film Festival, the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, and Toronto Film Festival, as well as many lift-off film festivals as well. So I'm hoping that it'll get as much airtime as it can in the film festivals around the world, and consequently we'll pick up a distributor, and from there that distributor will then make negotiations with broadcasters and it gets screened on television. Eventually I'd like to have it on Netflix or online somewhere, and eventually have it online for free, so that hopefully it gets as much access to the public and gets shown to as many people as possible.
Okay, James. Well, that sounds very, very interesting. So I wish you all the best. So where can we get more information about this documentary and your work?
I have a Facebook page up. It's called facebook.com/dogmeatsouthkorea. And you should be able to find information as well as trailers on this documentary, as well as the smartphone footage. And I'm in the process of setting that up with more marketing collateral and material. I'll be in the process of putting together an electronic press kit shortly that will be sent out to a number of journalists, as well as posted online for anyone who wants to share it as well.
Okay, sounds great. Is there another documentary production in the near future?
That depends upon distribution. I mean, I've been without an income now for roughly 12 months. If you are doing long-term undercover investigative work, it doesn't pay well to start with, especially in the area of animal abuse. So I've been without an income for about 12 months now, so I do need to start making some money at some point soon. The wife has been very kind so far, but it's about time for me to earn money. If I went into doing a documentary by myself in the area of animal welfare, again, it would be a long process, and unfortunately I wouldn't be able to get an income until, eventually if we manage to sell the documentary. So the only way to really cover my own costs is via crowdfunding, and it's not a method that I like doing, because I honestly believe that there should be larger networks funding documentaries in important areas such as this, but unfortunately that just isn't the case right now. So will I do another documentary in the future? Of course I will. Will it be anytime soon? That depends upon whether we can guarantee and source funding for another documentary.
Okay, sounds great, James. Well, I wish you all the best with the future radio documentaries, because this one looks very, very interesting. And that would be all on my side. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, that's it, mate. I just appreciate you giving this the coverage.
No worries, anytime, James. Well, thank you very much. And I really hope I can watch that documentary, although I know I'm going to be like, oh my God, poor dog or something like that. But it'll be very interesting to see what you found in Korea with all these dogs and with the people and the culture, dog consumption and treating it as a medicine and how they inhumanely kill dogs. So I really hope to see you very soon. I look forward to it.